that I decided to select and research was plant-based meats like Beyond Burger. In this project, I will talk about the clinical aspects as well as the ethical aspects. In this first section, we will talk about the health and nutrition issues, or more primarily, the problem. Plant-based diets have been increasingly popular within the current years. While brands market their food items to be better alternatives, research has shown that plant-based foods, like meat alternatives, are not as relatively healthy to real meat. The history of the plant-based meat alternative come from the ancient civilizations. Vegan proteins, such as tofu and tempeh, were all consumed to replace meat, and were all consumed in its raw, nutritious form. However, in today's generation, products are over-processed to replicate the taste and look of real meat products. Many meat alternatives are classified as ultra-processed foods according to the NOVA classification. This is concerning for the consumer, as these technological ways to push protein into the meatless product may be compromised. The era of plant-based meats has officially boomed. We have all seen Burger King's Impossible Whopper and dining menus or restaurant menus Beyond Burger option. This push to create more environmentally friendly products has given society a reason to accept this concept. Nonetheless, there are several issues regarding this new way of eating. Many nutritional professionals suggest that there are just not adequate nutrients when compared to actual meat. Additionally, the idea of the product being sustainable is not 100% backed by reliable facts. Sourcing of these ingredients still leave an environmental footprint. With the multitude of products, marketing is increasingly becoming more competitive, and brands are coming up with more unethical ways to promote their product. Addressing the issues will be crucial to understand whether or not the plant-based meat, like Beyond Burger, should be nutritionally accepted at a clinical and social standpoint. If the reason to eating plant-based is to be more environmentally friendly, it would just be logical for vegans to eat authentic produce like legumes, vegetables, and etc., or as mentioned in historical standpoints, tofu and tempeh. Nonetheless, recent society has made it popular to consume processed foods, which is a major problem in America.
Come on, it's time to get to the results. By the way, I'm so happy about the blood pressure, I can't see straight. Let's talk to everybody about what we think actually can be delivered by plant-based foods. Are they really healthier for you? And are they healthy for all of us? So let's start with the environment first, right? Because everyone's worried about the environment. Is it better? Well, yeah. Plant-based foods are going to be better because we don't have to have, factory farming of livestock, and that's a big challenge to our environment for both water, but also release of gases into the atmosphere, et cetera, and food crops get used. How about the wallet? Interestingly, turns out the meat's better for your wallet. Yeah. It's about half the price, best we can tell. But let's talk about you personally now. In terms of fat, wasn't the big difference. Right. That's why triglycerides didn't change in you that much. Okay. So, but did have less cholesterol that may have helped you with the lousy cholesterol problems, which is why I think the plant-based will make more sense there. Okay. And the sodium, I was really surprised by this, but it's upsetting as well. There's too much salt in these plant-based burgers. So Cal's still better for that because it's got so much taste, you don't have to add salt onto it. Right. So I think if I'm giving you the answer to your personal question about whether it's healthier for you, it depends. It depends on you. It depends on the person. So if I were your doctor, I'd say keep enjoying the regular old meat that you love in moderation. Okay. But I got a bigger plea for
This video from Dr. Oz was interesting to review when starting research, as it shows both the pros and cons of plant-based meat and regular meat. His initial venture for this research was to understand whether one of these two products are generally healthier. After conducting a study on a meat eater, he found that there is not much of a conclusive outcome. Looking through the baseline of the nutrition facts, there are evident cons of the plant-based meat burger. However, it's important to emphasize this topic beyond the nutrition. In this video, it suggests that environmentally it is friendlier, which seems to be true as many are concerned with the greenhouse gases that are released from the oversaturation of meat production. The next issue would be the cost of the two products. The real meat takes the pro in this category as it is cheaper. This is not shocking as a majority of the issue from plant-based meat comes from the additional additives. When you combine these additives into ingredients, the product becomes pricier. This is since extra additives need to be added to make up for the lack of natural nutrients that real meat would provide. All of these factors will be brought up in the next section as it highlights the two different viewpoints of the topic of plant-based meat. In this second portion, we will talk about arguments, viewpoints, and evidence. This topic is controversial due to the idea that meatless products have outweighing pros. To start, many studies have shown that excessive amounts of animal meat could cause cancers and other diseases. This is mostly found within red meats and people who follow a more carnivorous diet. Additionally, processed meats prevent animals from being slaughtered to enter meat production. Therefore, plant-based alternatives are heavily influenced in the media and on packaging to be more sustainable. On the other hand, many nutritionists and studies have pointed out the harmful ingredients in processing of these products. Manufacturers tend to highlight micronutrient and protein content on labels of meat alternatives as it allows them to signal that their product is meat-like in terms of nutritional value. For instance, many ads promote the notion of benefits of plant-based proteins. Packaging grants a sense of cleanness in the products. Though it could be suggested that these products are better for health, the environment, and climate change, there is no clear evidence or research. As ads continue to promote fake meat products, there is still a need for more facts to back up these claims. Unfortunately, these ads and marketing tactics are technically still permitted as there are no regulations regarding this matter within the FDA. The reasoning behind the lack of regulations is since the ingredients are appropriately recognized food items. Studies have shown that consumers will view plant-based meat alternatives as healthier. However, research has shown that there are higher levels of salt in these alternatives and they do not bear the same protein minerals as real meat. In a quantitative analysis of the ingredients of plant-based meat alternatives in 2023, it found that products including Beyond Burger products lacked significantly nutritional ingredients. For example, much saturated fats came from the high oleic sunflower oils and other seed oils. This primary ingredient is not essentially beneficial to consume, as it lacks essential nutrients like omega-3 fatty acids, which is recommended for heart health by the American Heart Association. This chart is a great visual to compare the nutritional facts of both the Impossible Burger and the real beef patty. Also recognize that the serving size is 4 grams each, so the same. Calories-wise, they are pretty much the same. In the Impossible Burger, there are more grams of saturated fat, most likely from the seed oils as well as the coconut oils. So much of this fat content does not have nutritional benefits. Another huge factor to point out is the sodium content. Due to the overprocessing of most plant-based meats, there is a way higher sodium content in the Impossible Burger. The last thing to recognize is that for the same calorie content, there is less protein. This means that most of the calories in the Impossible Burger is coming from other nutrients like fats and carbs from the vegetables, as its ingredients list is primarily vegetables. Whereas the beef patty has most of its calories coming from the actual protein content. This visual comes from a peer-reviewed article that studied plant-based meat alternatives. When looking at this ingredient list, it is important to emphasize the arrangement of saturated fats. Though not all of these ingredients are particularly unhealthy, seed oils do not contain the essential nutrients people would be getting from real meat, as mentioned before. Nonetheless, When looking at the fiber ingredients, it is appropriate to state that these ingredients will provide the body with enough healthy fiber. But it is important to know that with these high fiber contents, it could leave a person feeling satiated prematurely, thus leaving less room for people to eat any additional or potential nutrients from other foods. This basically explains that people will rely primarily on the processed plant-based meat alternatives rather than whole natural foods. Furthermore, this study conducted found that only 11 out of 148 tested products contained iron, and 10 out of 100 of the 48 contained vitamin B12. This is worrisome, as it could be suggested that these vitamins are being processed into the plant-based meats, unlike the real meat. And there's just not enough vitamins and minerals in these products to compare to the real thing. This section will now review the political, clinical, cultural, and social factors and forces shaping the viewpoints and guidelines. In political sense, plant-based meat alternatives shape different viewpoints. Data shows that plant-based meats have the potential to reduce food emissions as America faces an overconsumption of meat. Additionally, the U.S. has larger environmental costs from producing animal-based foods. Nonetheless, political science has shown that there is a divide between Republicans and Democrats when it comes to the influence of plant-based meats. Using a large sample of survey data, it was found that Democrats are significantly more likely to report a vegan or vegetarian-based diet compared to Republicans back in a study in 2020. This could be because conservatives in the U.S. are more attached to meat compared to liberals due to feeling less concerned about social justice and less supported socially for diet changes. In terms of conservative movements, there is a fear of eliminating meat from the American diet due to the push of climate policies. Democrats seem to emphasize more issues surrounding animal rights over Republicans. This makes plant-based meat increasingly more preferred for this population. Climate action is the call to reducing the sacrifice of animal lives, and nonetheless it has become one of the most spoken about political controversies. Furthermore, into this divide, conservative men feel as though that their masculinity is taken away when plant-based eating is influenced. Western societies consider plant-based diets to be feminine and emasculating. This relationship between gender and diet falls into the social norms, and gender studies also play a big pivotal role in political standpoints. So now looking at this chart and data in regards to the political aspects of plant-based meat, we see that most of the reported plant-based consumers were of the Democratic Party. When looking back at the previously provided data, it supports the claim that liberal ideologies would most likely support plant-based products like Beyond Burger. Again, a cleaner environment and animal protection has always been a point of discussion and divide in political terms. When we recognize the Republican Party data represented in the chart, there are more carnivorous people in this group. The association of veganism and consumerism of plant-based products is clearly divided within the two parties. This next section will now talk about ethical considerations and action. As society continues to seek ethical food sources, it is obvious that groups of individuals, governments, and organizations are taking similar or different routes to address this current trend. Societal norms play a pivotal role in this issue and are considerable. Studies have shown that peers view the consumption of alternative protein burgers as the right thing to do regarding one's intention to buy alternative protein burgers. We found that societal norms had the strongest association with the intention to consume these burgers compared to a range of individual drivers. This information came from a research back in 2022. Plant-based meat products are often perceived as a social behavior that reflect off of personal ethical beliefs. Due to this, there is now an ethical concern that products will use these social norms to increase the acceptance of alternative protein rather than rely on nutritional facts. Individually, it is clear that people choose plant-based foods and meats to meet ethical beliefs. Nonetheless, there are now groups who emphasize the possible issues surrounding it. Nutritionally, it has been proven that plant-based meat is incomparable to the real thing. In a study recognized by a PubMed article, it claims participants generally expected products, both meat and meat alternative, to have a higher protein content when a packaging label claims that a product is rich in protein, in quotes. Furthermore, referencing back to the ethical and political considerations, there is an economic impact on promoting meatless food, as it could harm the meat industries. This will cause workers like farmers and other meat factory workers to lose out on money and jobs. Currently, there is still a massive divide within the realm of fake meat. This conflict is evident when comparing the harvesting of a vegetable and a fish. There still needs to be a removed habitat to harvest vegetables. There is a clearing of fields and the application of chemicals that maximize the volume of this produce. To more closely compare these two factors, Mike Archer at the University of South Wales conducted a study that compared animal plantation death. Archer determined a result of 55 animal deaths for 100 kgs of plant protein, thus meaning traditional veganism could potentially implicate more animal deaths than a diet that includes real meat.
Are all of these plant-based meat alternatives really better than real beef? Short answer, no. But the ingredients in Beyond Burger are much better than the Impossible Burger, in my opinion. When it comes to plant-based protein, I'll take pea protein over soy protein concentrate any day of the week. But red flag number one in Beyond Burger is the canola oil. It's slightly better that it's expeller pressed, but it's still highly processed, omega-6 rich, and has no business being in our food. And if we keep reading the ingredients, we see things like natural flavors, which I assume is used to make it taste more like real beef, a bunch of other fillers, and then some low-quality synthetic forms of vitamins to, again, mimic the nutritional profile of real beef. My suggestion, every once in a while, fine. But if you're a vegan, there are much better other sources of protein from real food.
This video is relative at an ethical standpoint, as alternative meat is being accepted based off of its healthier claims on the packaging. However, this video dives deeper into the ingredients and shows how these meats are comparatively similar in the way that they include not the best ingredients. Additionally, the attention of these brands show that these products are popular and becoming more of a mainstream item. Though this is great for supermarkets and such, this does hurt the meat industry as well as other farming companies, as real vegetables are becoming discarded. To conclude, it is important to clearly understand the main points that were presented in this research. First and foremost, plant-based meat is found to be not as nutritious as real meat. Plant-based meat has been found to contain over-processed ingredients, which causes plant-based meat ingredients to include alternative vitamins and minerals, which generally just ups the cost of the product and just does not provide the same nutritional value as regular meat would. Some argue that it is more environmentally friendly, which does seem true in many aspects. Nonetheless, plant-based meat still has its reservations when it comes to the environment. Many nutritionists argue that it lacks many essential nutrients that can only be found in real meat. The fake meat comes with ethical issues, as the promotion of this product could take away jobs in the meat industry. And lastly, in politics, there are different views on animal rights and slaughtering in regards to the Democratic and Republican Party. It creates a divide and a debate. In my opinion, I do believe that there needs to be more research done to conclude a clearer decision on this issue. All these different views and ethical issues has research that proves them to go both ways. After reviewing the research on this topic, I do not believe that plant-based meat is essentially a better alternative over real meat products. Nonetheless, I look forward to any future research that dives deeper into the clinical and both ethical points. Here is the list of references that I use. Thank you for listening to my research done on my topic.